My manager told me to fix my face during Zoom meetings because I looked unapproachable. She also called me office furniture in a group chat. I got quiet, polite, collected 4 months' worth of screenshots, filed a harassment report with legal and CC'd every female exec. She's still trying to hold on to her title, but the investigation team just scheduled a private interview with me about. I've been working in this company for a little over 6 years. I started right after college as a marketing assistant and worked my way up to brand coordinator. I'm not loud. I'm not the type to dominate meetings or talk just to be heard. I do my job, I do it well, and I don't need to be praised for every little thing. I know what I bring to the table. My reviews have always been solid. Managers called me reliable, consistent, and efficient. One of them even said I was the backbone of the team. That stuck with me. It meant more than some forced compliment about being a rock star. Then last year, things shifted. Our manager left for a startup, and they brought in someone from another office to take over the department. Her name was Brenna. She came in loud, bright clothes, big energy, always smiling too hard. I could tell from the beginning that she didn't respect people who didn't perform enthusiasm the way she did. I'm not rude, but I'm not fake. And I don't overcompensate in meetings. That was enough for her to decide I wasn't her type. At first, she was polite. Distant, but polite. I could feel her sizing me up, like she was trying to figure out where I fit into her little empire. I was quiet in meetings, didn't try to compete for attention. I think she took that as weakness. Then it started. Small comments. Once, during a morning Zoom, she said to the group, "Let's all try to bring a little more energy to the screen. Some of us look like we rolled straight out of a grave." The team laughed. I didn't. I had brushed my hair, put on mascara, and worn a clean blouse. I just didn't put on a fake smile. That made me a target. Another time, after a weekly stand-up, she messaged me directly. "Hey, can you work on being a little more on for Zooms? People pick up on energy, and yours can come off cold." I replied, "Thanks, I'll keep that in mind." I didn't ask what she meant. I didn't argue. Then, about 2 months into her managing us, she joined a team Zoom about 10 minutes late. As soon as her face popped on the screen, the first thing she said was, "Oh my God, can you fix your face? You always look like someone just ran over your cat." People laughed. I didn't. I felt my face go hot. I nodded. I think I mumbled something like, "Sure." But I didn't forget it. It kept happening. She called me Wednesday Addams in front of a vendor. She asked once during a brainstorming meeting if I was allergic to excitement. She would spotlight me on Zoom and say things like, "Give us a smile, come on." But the worst part was the group chat. We had a Slack channel just for our immediate team, about 7 of us. A few of the newer team members idolized her. They copied her tone, tried to mirror her energy. There was always this vibe of trying to stay in her good graces. So she'd joke around in there like we were all best friends. I ignored most of it, until one day, during work hours, she sent a message that wasn't meant for that thread. She was clearly trying to message someone privately, but she sent it to the whole team. It said, "She's basically office furniture at this point, LOL. Has anyone ever heard her speak with emotion?" Everyone saw it. I didn't respond. I didn't react. No one else did either. After a few minutes, she replied again, "OMG, wrong thread." Haha, I was joking, just teasing, grimacing face, ignore me. But it wasn't a joke. She meant it. That moment stuck with me more than all the rest. That wasn't a performance in a meeting. That was what she actually thought of me when she thought I wouldn't hear it. I stayed quiet, but I got focused. I started small. I went back into the chat history and downloaded the full transcript from the Slack thread. Saved it to a folder on my desktop. Then I started digging. We used Microsoft Teams for meetings. Most of our Zooms were recorded. All the team meetings she joined, saved to the shared drive. I watched them again. I took notes. Timestamps. Exact quotes. Every time she made a snide remark, I logged it. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I made a spreadsheet. Date, meeting, comment, witnesses, recording link. Some people might think it's petty, but I wasn't trying to ruin her. I just wanted the truth to be seen. I wasn't furniture. I was someone who stayed professional while being mocked in front of my peers. That deserved to be documented. Then I found the internal legal and ethics portal on our company intranet. It wasn't publicized, but it was there. They let employees file formal harassment claims anonymously or directly. I clicked through, read every page, then closed it. I wasn't ready. Not yet. I wanted one more thing. I opened our org chart and scrolled through the leadership team. I found a name I recognized, Kara, a VP who had spoken at a company-wide event on creating safe workplaces for women. She had said something in that speech that stuck with me. Silence is a tactic used against us. Sometimes the loudest protest is a quiet, well-documented one. I found her email. Then I spent an entire weekend putting everything together. I wrote a clear, fact-based summary of what had happened over 4 months. No anger, just the facts. Attached screenshots, video clips, chat logs, my spreadsheet. Labeled everything. Then I wrote the email. Subject: formal harassment complaint regarding manager conduct, documentation attached recipients, legal and ethics department, Kara, VP, 2 other senior women leaders in the company. I clicked send. No one replied for a full week. Then last Monday, I got a calendar invite. It was from an internal investigator. Title: confidential interview. Harassment case number 34498. No one else was copied. Then another coworker messaged me. She said she got an invite too. She didn't say why, but I could feel it. The story was bigger than me. Then another one told me Brenna once berated her in a call for not wearing enough makeup during a client meeting. Another said she was told to stop bringing the mood down during brainstorms because she had a calm voice. Now I don't know how many people have come forward, but I know I'm not alone anymore. And Brenna? She's suddenly acting extra friendly, like she knows something's off but doesn't know what. I'm not sure how long she'll keep pretending, but I've stopped pretending too. A few days after the interview with the investigator, I got another email. This one wasn't a calendar invite. It was a summary of my complaint with a confirmation that an active inquiry was underway. The legal rep thanked me for being thorough and said they were now interviewing other relevant parties. That was all. I thought I'd feel relieved. I didn't. I felt tense. Because now it wasn't just between me and Brenna anymore. The air at work shifted. Brenna didn't say anything directly to me, but she stopped calling on me in meetings. She didn't make jokes. No more fix your face or bring the energy. But that didn't make it better. It made it worse. It felt like I was walking through fog. Controlled silence. I overheard her on Zoom once, in a breakout room with another manager, whispering, "This team is getting weird. Someone's stirring shit." And I knew then she didn't know it was me. Or at least, she wasn't sure. The following week, she scheduled a quick touch base with me. Just the 2 of us. When the meeting started, she smiled too much. Her voice was fake sweet. She asked me how I was feeling about team culture. I said, fine. She asked if I had any feedback to help her lead better. I said, nothing comes to mind. She paused like she wanted me to crack. I didn't. Then she leaned forward and said, I just get the sense someone's not really aligned with the team lately. If something's wrong, I'd rather talk about it face to face than have people go around me. I nodded. Makes sense. She kept waiting. I didn't give her anything. The call ended early. The next day, she called out sick. Then again the next day. Then I heard from one of the newer team members, someone I had trained last fall. She DM'd me and said, hey, off the record, I just had an interview with legal about Brenna. I don't know what you did, but thank you. Turns out, at least 5 of us had given statements. All separate. All with receipts. Then something else happened. I got pulled into a cross-departmental meeting about an upcoming product launch. Someone from a different department said, hey, I saw your name pop up in the ethics review doc. You okay? I froze. What document? He backtracked. Said he shouldn't have said anything. But it was too late. I reached out to the legal contact. Asked if the investigation was still confidential. She replied, yes. All interviews and evidence are confidential. If someone is discussing them externally, that's a breach. That's when I realized Brenna was trying to get ahead of it. She was leaking just enough to make it look like there was a witch hunt, positioning herself as the victim, spinning a story. A few days later, she posted on LinkedIn, "Leadership isn't easy. Women are often judged more harshly. I believe in transparency, strength, and learning from challenges. Proud to lead a resilient team through hard moments." I wanted to throw up. She was already trying to soften the landing. But it wasn't just about her anymore. Because I found out something else. Someone in another department forwarded me an old email Brenna had sent, by mistake, to the wrong internal group. In it, she complained about how difficult it was to manage dead weight and how she was actively working on shifting the culture away from mediocrity. That email was from 3 months ago. I checked the names on the thread. My name was listed as one of the unmotivated, energy-draining types she was talking about. So I added it to the folder, sent it to legal. This time, I didn't wait for a reply, because I had a feeling she wasn't going to leave quietly, and I wasn't going to back down. 2 weeks after that last email, I got a call from a restricted number. I usually don't answer those, but something told me to pick up. It was a woman from an outside legal firm, not internal HR. She introduced herself and said she was working with a company on a third-party investigation into internal conduct complaints. She said she had been brought in to keep things neutral and separate from company politics. That's when I knew this wasn't just a regular HR slap on the wrist. It had gone further up, way further. She asked if I was willing to go through a second interview, this time in more detail. I agreed. We talked for almost 2 hours. She asked about tone, repeated patterns, witnesses, screenshots. She brought up things I didn't even include, comments Brenna had made to other team members. Someone else had mentioned them. The story was spreading. Quietly. Carefully. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I logged into Slack and saw Brenna's name missing from the top of our team chat. She was still listed as manager in the directory, but her profile photo was gone. Her status was offline. Then one coworker messaged, "Did Brenna get deactivated? Or is it a glitch?" No one answered. A few hours later, an email came down from senior leadership. It was short. No explanation. Effective immediately, Brenna, last name, is on leave pending a personnel matter. All team operations will temporarily report to or interim manager name. No apology. No clarity. Just a cold cut. But the real twist came later that week. One of the junior team members, someone who had been close to Brenna, reached out to me. Her name was Tasha. She and Brenna used to DM constantly, laugh during meetings, send memes in the group chat. I had always assumed she saw me the same way Brenna did, cold, dull, replaceable. But her message caught me off guard. She said, "I need to tell you something." I thought it was funny at first. I didn't see what was happening. She pulled me into it, and I let it happen. Then she attached screenshots. Private DMs between her and Brenna. Weeks worth. Messages like, "She's so stiff, it's almost painful. I bet she cries in PowerPoint slides. I'm going to put her on the worst client pitch next month. Maybe she'll crack. At some point, I'll manage her out. Watch me." They weren't just cruel. They were calculated. Tasha told me she felt sick about it. Said once the investigation started, she realized how far it had gone. She didn't want to be part of it anymore. I asked her if she'd share the messages with legal. She already had. A few days later, the interim manager held a quick team meeting. No cameras, just voice. He said the investigation was still active and we should direct all concerns to legal. That was it. But at the end, before logging off, he said one more thing. "Some of you have shown a lot of strength. That hasn't gone unnoticed." Then he left the call. I sat there, staring at the blank screen. Because now, even people who were on her side were flipping. Not out of guilt, out of fear. They knew she had gone too far. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't finished. Because the deeper I looked, the more I found. I kept going through old files. Not because I wanted to bury her. I just wanted to understand the pattern. How long this had been happening. How many people got pulled into it. How many stayed quiet because they thought they were the only one? I found something I hadn't noticed before. An old folder from a project we did about a year ago. Back when Brenna was new. It was a joint campaign with another department, customer success or sales, I think. I had forgotten about it because she barely involved me. She gave most of the credit to the newer, louder team members. Inside the folder was a doc labeled Team Feedback. I clicked it. Most of it was basic comments, but one paragraph stood out. Manager seems to create a divide between staff, overpraises loud, extroverted employees, and dismisses those who are more quiet or process-oriented. Some team members have expressed discomfort with the tone of meetings. It was dated just 2 months into her joining. That means people were already noticing back then. And someone had said something. But nothing changed. I forwarded that to legal too. I didn't hear anything back, but I didn't expect to. Things had gone quiet again. Not in a peaceful way, more like the hush before something breaks. And then came the final twist I didn't expect. Kara, the VP I'd CC'd on the original report, called me. Not emailed. Not an assistant. She called me directly. I answered, unsure what to expect. She didn't waste time. She said, I read everything. I want you to know we hear you. I didn't know what to say. Then she asked if I'd be willing to join a new internal task group. One focused on ethical leadership and culture repair. She said they were creating it because of what surfaced during the investigation. And because this wasn't the first time something like this had happened quietly. She didn't say Brenna's name. She didn't have to. I told her I'd think about it. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. My computer screen had dimmed. Slack was silent. No one had messaged me all day. I looked around in my apartment. It was quiet too, but in a different way, like I could finally hear myself think again. Brenna hadn't been officially fired. Not yet. But I knew something now that I hadn't known before. She'd already lost more than her job. She lost the power to scare people into silence. She lost the loyalty of the ones who thought she was untouchable. She lost the mask she hid behind in meetings and on social media. And there was still one more thing I was going to do. But not yet. It took almost a month for the outcome to hit my inbox. It came quietly, like everything else. Just an email, marked high priority. Subject: conclusion of personnel matter. Confidential. They didn't say her name. But they didn't have to. The message said her employment had officially ended. Based on the findings of an external investigation, the company has chosen to part ways with the involved manager, effective immediately. It didn't say what she did. It didn't mention harassment. But I didn't need it to. Everyone on the team knew. And still, I wasn't done. Because during those last few weeks of the investigation, I had filed a second report. Not to legal. This one went to our industry's ethics committee. We work in a field with partnerships, sponsorships, and a lot of PR behind it. A lot of leadership people post on panels and speak at women in business events, including Brenna. I gave them the same screenshots, the same quotes, the same chat logs where she made fun of people's faces and called me furniture. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it because I knew she'd try to use the same charm again somewhere else. A week after she was let go, I checked her LinkedIn. The post she made about leading through challenges was gone. So was her job title. The page was quiet now. No updates. No photos. Just a generic, open to work banner. Then came the final hit. Someone I knew in a partner agency forwarded me a screenshot. Brenna had tried to apply for a contract role with them. She listed our company as a reference. The HR rep from that agency had already seen my name listed in the ethics report. She told my contact, "We're not going to move forward. Too much noise around her name right now." I didn't say anything. I just saved the screenshot. Let her sit with that. Let her feel what it's like to be dismissed without anyone saying it to your face. To be shut out of meetings, ignored, deleted, uninvited. To have her words come back to her one by one when she thought no one was watching. Let her know that silence can be louder than a scream. The company never said thank you. They don't do that. But 3 weeks later, I got a promotion. Not a flashy one. Just a bump in title, a small raise, and a seat at the planning table I used to be left out of. The interim manager stayed.
He's calm. Fair.
No fake smiles. He calls on me in meetings now and doesn't ask me to smile. Tasha, the one who turned over her messages, apologized again. I told her she didn't owe me anything. We're not friends, but we're not enemies either. And I joined that internal task group, not because I trust the company. I don't, but I trust myself. I know how to keep receipts now. I know what silence costs. I know what it takes to burn someone down without raising your voice. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't cry in meetings. I just watched.
Logged.
Collected. And when the time was right, I handed over the match. She lit the fire herself. I just let it burn.